Hi everyone, this is Dr. Jimenez, and I'm recording this video specifically for the purposes of giving you some quick tips and foundations on using APA, not only in terms of your assignments, but also in your discussion boards. And part of the reason why we do this is because we want to make sure that we are properly citing all of our resources, and the way that we do that in the Educational Technology Department is through the use of APA. So let's talk a little bit about what APA is. So APA stands for the American Psychological Association, and it is the style of citation that we use in the social sciences. The American Psychological Association creates publications and has a website that you can use where you could figure out everything from how do I cite an author from a book, a journal, a website. How do I write those references so that I can give credit to the authors and the ideas that I am using in my academic work and research? Which leads us to, why do we cite? Again, part of this is because you want to make sure that you could show your reader, whether it's me, your classmates, any of your professors, the fact that you've done proper research and that you have gone through and are quoting and citing relevant academic sources, peer-reviewed sources, and the way that you can do that is by listing your research, by listing your resources in the reference page. And more importantly, it's also the responsibility of every scholar and all of your scholars, because you are in a master's program or a doctoral program or any kind of graduate program, right? You have to be a responsible scholar by giving credit to other researchers and acknowledging their ideas. Intellectual capital is a very important topic in academia because it is your ideas that you own. You own your ideas, and you're able to share them and use those ideas, right? But it's important for us to also give credit to those who've provided us with their great ideas and research. And it's proper etiquette. It's also an academic requirement and standard. You need to cite, because if not, you start to get into the realm of plagiarism. And what plagiarism is, in its most broadest and simple sense, plagiarism occurs when a person represents someone else's work. It could be their ideas, their thoughts. It's basically you're presenting their ideas as your own. And whether it's intentional or otherwise, by not citing, you are in essence plagiarizing. You're not giving credit to another person for the work that you are borrowing, or in this case, using in your work. This is why you have to cite. And more importantly, it's the responsibility of every student to make sure that when you submit your work, you've done your due diligence, you've cited the proper resources, and you've given acknowledgement, in this case, attribution to the author by citing them and saying, hey, this idea came from this author. So when we not only take someone's ideas, but we put in direct quotes, exact verbatim statements, it's important for us to cite them, but in order for us to show that, hey, this is a direct quote from an author, we need to put those statements in quotation marks as a starting point, and then we have to cite them. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but what's important to understand is, again, plagiarism is considered a very serious academic offense. And again, what is plagiarism? In its most simplest form, it's, again, taking somebody's words and not acknowledging them or giving them credit for their ideas. This could be their work, there could be theories, this could be materials from them. Even if you take someone's quote and you paraphrase it and you don't give citation, or you don't give a citation, or you don't reference that as being somebody else's work, even if you completely reword it, you're still potentially plagiarizing. So something to think about. This concludes using statistics or other illustrative materials, graphics, images, tables from other sources without permission. So this can also include even taking information from the internet without acknowledging sources. The point is, when you borrow an idea, a concept, a fact, a figure, you should give it its deserved attribution, in this case in the form of a citation. So you can avoid plagiarism really easily, folks. When in doubt, cite. And if you're not sure, cite. If you're not sure, because sometimes, listen, there are times I sit there and go, it's important for me to make sure that I am giving credit to the author or authors who are informing a paper or an assignment. So it's your job to cite and cite correctly, because if not, it could be considered plagiarism. Again, plagiarism is considered to be a major issue in the New Jersey City University Academic Integrity Policy, and obviously the simplest way to avoid it overall is to cite your work. So it's part of the reason why we have APA, so that you can cite your resources and references. And this can include both print and digital. And if you are using direct quotes, aka a line for line verbatim, you not only have to put them in quotes, but you have to give them a citation. Period. I mean, like that goes without saying. And even if you paraphrase somebody else's ideas, right, you still need to give them credit for those ideas. So you got to cite it. So cite, and cite again. So the simplest way to do this, and I posted some videos in our Blackboard site on this, but again, remember, when it comes to direct quotes, there's two kinds of inline citations that you could use. There's what we call the single phrase, where at the beginning of the sentence you have the author's last name and the year, followed by their quote. And in this case, because it's a direct quote, word for word, we also must include the page number. And notice how the page number is after the quote and it's before the period. So the period encapsulates the entire sentence, right? Just like a normal sentence would. You reach the end of a sentence when you reach the period. Well, the same thing with a citation. The citation should be included as part of the overall structure. So you have your citation at the beginning, Jones, which is the author and year. By the way, author and year usually go together. They should not be separate in most cases. But in general citations, you have the author and the year together. And then at the very end of the citation, after the quotes, you have your page number in parentheses, followed by a period. And the reason why it's called a single phrase is because you're putting your citation at the beginning of the sentence. So it's at the beginning. However, we have a second option, which is listed here below. And that option here is the inline citation known as the parenthetical. The parenthetical simply just means where you put all of your citation information at the end of the sentence. I'm just going to move my video here for a moment so that you can see this a little bit more clearly. But if you look over here, notice how, again, you have your statement in quotes, followed by the citation, which again is the author, year, and page number, just like before, author, year, and page number. And the period is what ends the overall quote and citation together. So the period always goes after the citation, and the parenthetical just means you're putting everything inside of paragraphs, or excuse me, inside of parentheses. So when you put everything in between parentheses like we did here, this is why this is referred to as the parenthetical. But the point is, these are two examples of how you can cite the authors for these direct quotes. And again, author, last name, year, and page number. Now, what happens if you don't have a direct quote, right? But you want to give credit to somebody else's idea. Well, again, you would do the same thing. You would put the idea And the idea is then followed by, in this case, some sort of parenthetical type of citation where you have the author's last name followed by the year. And although it's interesting because when it comes to paraphrased work, according to the Purdue OWL and through APA.org, if you paraphrase an idea from another work, you only have to make reference to the author and year of the publication. But it is suggested and encouraged that you also include the page number. So when in doubt, author, last name, year, and page number. And again, the period is at the end. So this entire sentence is followed by the citation with a period at the end. The period always goes at the end because what I noticed in some of the papers that I was reviewing, the periods were at the end of the sentence and then the citation was being treated separately. Think of all this as being one encapsulated object where it all ends with a period. Sentence followed by the citation with a period at the end. When it comes to citing multiple authors, there are different rules. And depending on your rules, a lot of it really depends on how many authors are you talking about. Now, in some of your works, in some of your publications, excuse me, what you'll see is that there are very specific rules. If you have a single author of a work, the first time that you cite them, you can just put them in the single phrase format, such as Jones 2012 said. In subsequent single phrases, you can just say Jones 2012. Like, there's really no change. And then if you're doing the parenthetical, it's the same thing, except that they're in parentheses. Jones, comma, 2012, Jones, comma, 2012. So if it's a single author, it's pretty easy. But many times, you're dealing with multiple authors. If it's two or more, the first time you use it in a single phrase, you'll write out the words, the two last names, in this case, Smith and Jones, with the word "and" completely written out, followed by the year. You'll do the same thing every time you repeat your single phrase. Your signal phrase. And then for your parentheticals, when you're putting everything in parentheses, you can put these separated by parentheses. So this is a slight difference, right? But it starts to get a little bit more complicated when you have three or more authors. Because when you have three or more authors, the idea is that the first time that you cite them, you're going to write out their name completely. Oops, there you go. Smith, Walker, and Jones, followed by the year, right? But the next time that you write them in your paper, you can just simply say, Smith et al. Now, et al., that's right here, this little et al. Simply just means that you have, it's not working. There we go. Sorry about that, guys and ladies. Here we go. Sorry, this just took a little bit longer than expected. Smith et al. Simply means that there are other authors, right? And this rule only applies when you have 3 to 5 authors. So the first thing you have to write all the authors down. So if you have 5 authors, you write all 5 authors out like this. Smith, Walker, and Jones, 2012. The second time that you write them, you can write the words et al., which means you put the first author followed by et al., which means that there's more authors involved, and then the year. And notice that there is no commas, just a period at the end of all. And you'll see the same thing here when you get to the parenthetical. The difference is that you'll see that there is some sort of comma separating the author and the year in this case. And then you'll see there's other rules that are here, including the first time you get 6 or more authors, where you can just go ahead and just type the name Smith et al. From the very beginning and use it again and again. So depending on the author, depending on what it is that you're trying to cite, there are different rules and you should become familiar with them. You can find these in the Purdue OWL or even in APA.org or in your APA textbooks. And we're going to continue on to our next video so we can talk a little bit more about the reference page and running head.